sigiinaako kati nkugaye nti bazze Uganda ate bakuba emizaire Uganda. Omusajja yagambye dda nti buli we banaalaga bajja kuba legitimate target. Kale ateze nkugaye nti bazze ku Serena. Let me call you back, please. That would be responsible from me. I don't have any information about that.
Okay.
So, abali mu UAE era mugumire eyo. UAE tegenda luno olutalo lugenda kuggwa. And my prediction is that this war will end in about 2 weeks to come. There will be an agreement. I think France and Turkey plus Russia will come up with something. But the issue is that Russia still wants to profit because it had sanctions on its oil. So the more there is a disruption in the Strait of Hormuz, definitely it's Russia benefiting. It will sell to Japan, it will sell to India, and it will beat around the American sanctions and amass some few dollars, because now it's pulling the strings. And it's pulling the strings at the time when the price of a barrel is over $100 for Brent crude, you know? So kitegeeza agenda okufunamu muno ayagala olutalo luno luwanvuwe would be Russia. It is in the interest of Russia having this war go on for long and long, because it's Russia benefiting 100%. It has been on the back foot. It dragged itself into a war that it thought it would win overnight in Ukraine. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. Now what is happening? It also wants to America to drag itself into a war that will drag on for long, and at the end of the day, attention will be diverted from arming Ukraine to America arming its own self. So Ukraine will definitely run out of weapons, because in as much as the Europeans pay the bill, America manufactures the weapons. So that's why you had President Trump saying all our best weapons were given to Ukraine, and we have, yes, a lot, but so that shows there's a shortage somewhere. I don't think they can carry on protecting all these bases. What these guys are trying to do is to stretch it as much as possible. The Iranians are smart in what we call asymmetrical warfare. Asymmetrical warfare, directly, but you spread your tentacles. And the Iranians have proven that they can do that. Their proxies in Iran, I mean in Lebanon, Hezbollah, are engaging Israel. So Israel is now fighting on two fronts, fighting in Lebanon and fighting in Iran. Israel is doing less bombings in Iran now because it's also preoccupied in Lebanon. You understand now the dynamics of the war? That is why America was also trying to press a smart move of saying, let's get the Kurds, engage the IRGC by Tekutaka. Because if you don't engage them, you remain the only target. And for them, they are proxies like, you know, militias in Iraq are hammering you in Ibil, in the Kurdistan region. Kakati America bweyagambe egenda kuweereza abakadi. Immediately, the Iranians took to another front by starting to attack the Kurdish in Kurdistan and destroying oil fields and hitting consulates in Ibil, you know, so that they distract the Kurds from arming and getting a consolidated front to attack them. So at the end of the day, Iran, instead of nuclear, had come up with what we call deterrent militias. So there were those Shia deterrent militias in Iraq, and they are fighting ferociously. They attacked the US embassy in Baghdad, they did to the US consulate, they have been bombing oil fields, they destroyed the oil tankers that were shipping American oil. This is basically American oil infrastructure. Listen, guys, every ship liner they hit with oil is worth millions of dollars. So you have over 1,000 ships that are stuck just in the Strait of Hormuz. Total barrels, as it is stuck, 200 million barrels of oil. You can calculate. 200 million barrels of oil times $100 per barrel. Omwo mulimu sente mmeka? So a mere bombing campaign cannot bring regime change, I can tell you. Because how many buildings can you bomb anyway? Iran has over 300,000 buildings. You understand?
Honorable, you spoke about protection, eh? So, kati losses UAE is carrying America against this solar.
No, listen. Normally, what America does, I hope people have to understand. War is a business. War is used as an economic tool.
Yes.
It is two-way, and I'll show you how it's a business. One, it comes and bombs you, takes your resources like oil, meaning those that support war run the infrastructure of war, which is arms manufacturing. And who is the biggest arms manufacturer in the world? It is Russia, America, and China. So the USA is number one. So they need to finance these factories that manufacture arms so that they provide jobs for these people of theirs that have to work in the arms factories. I want to show you how war is a business. That's why every 5 years, America has to bomb, whether you have a Democrat president or Republican president. Because during their rounds of campaigns, they are financed by these companies. They are direct contributors. So for as long as these companies finance you, they'll create all forms of intelligence that justifies you to bomb somewhere. Because it's only in military operations where you do not have a justification of budgeting. I hope you understand it well. Everything is classified. Someone can say, we bought that intelligence for $5 million. You won't question that. You don't audit that. So at the end of the day, it's a business. We get the American taxpayer or whatever money that we have, we bomb you. After bombing you, like in Iraq, we take over your oil. When we take over your oil, we sell it back to ourselves at a cheap price, and we use part of the money that is meant to build your country to bring in contractors in form of our companies to rebuild you. Kati, American company makes a missile that bombs you. American company takes over your oil and resources. American company comes to rebuild your country.
Wow, that's interesting.
So that is the matrix of war. War is business.
So, Honorable,
yes.
In terms of supremacy, Russia and China, zina emerging sometime in the near future to come as a superpower over Chichari.
For Russia, it's over. Russia will no longer be a superpower. I can tell you. Russia only has deterrence, and the reason is it lost the will to fight. The Russians lost the will to fight. They are moving more toward modernization. There is nothing that brings Russians together. I think that has been witnessed to an extent that for Russia to try and overcome Ukraine, it has to hire mercenaries from Africa because its people are not willing to fight an endless war. You understand what I'm trying to say?
Yes, I do.
Okay, now that you understand that, what is in for China? Now, Russia is split between the rock and the hard stone. Actually, Russia wants to be a friend to China, but it doesn't want China to dominate it. Russia still believes in its past hegemony and dominance, which was wiped away by the collapse of its economy and the breakdown of the Soviet Union, because nothing did bind it. In order to break up the Soviet Union as a bloc, remember it had many countries in the Balkans, Mulira, Serbia, all Slavs were part of Russia, but they broke away. So it lost a big population, it lost a big market, and those countries joined NATO and the EU. So Russia lost actually so much than it has today. But it kept resources. Now, China has, they are making mistakes. It will leave you to make your own mistakes, and embroid yourself in wars. So China, what China is doing is to leave America, burn its fingers all over the world, so that there is what we call this negativity about the United States. Because if the world sees you as a warmonger, your alliances are breaking down. Like, I'll give you an example. The American alliances are breaking down. For its attack on Iran, it did not have Europe. It did not have NATO. And America has been attacked. Remember, the rule for America is an attack under NATO on one of us is an attack on all of us. NATO members have not responded. So China is exercising what we call restraint. Because if it engages in that war directly, the NATO allies will come together. Is it ready to fight a direct war with the US? Not yet.
No.
But the best thing it's using is send all your forms of weapons and test them in these wars. I can give you an example. During the Russia-Ukraine war, China has also been supplying some arms to Ukraine, but more arms to Russia to test its waters, because China has a bigger battle of Taiwan. Who is the protector of Taiwan?
USA.
USA. Therefore, what does China want to do at the moment? Exercise restraint, let the USA burn out, and as it burns out on its weaponry, China shares a border, I think, with Iran and near Afghanistan. It will definitely have access to that missile technology and improve it and even make it much better. It's building warships. It is taking its time. It has nuclear. And I can tell you, China might take over Taiwan without shooting a single bullet, but surrounding it. And by that time, the US will be weak, because it will have engaged in itself in very many wars.
So by the US engaging in very many wars, it actually affects them a lot.
Yes, of course. Yes, of course. Yes, of course. Global ratings, countries retreat from you. They prefer working with peaceful partners. Listen, USA slapped taxes and it removed all taxes from imports from Africa.
Yeah.
In as much as most of its imports are actually done by Chinese companies exporting raw materials to China. But it opens up a window where Africans believe, you know what, we can trade with China. The same is going to happen to Latin America. So as you slap taxes on other countries, let's say the USA, I can tell you, as night follows day, there are more taxes that are going to be, China will do the opposite. Try to relax the taxes. And what will it do? It will boost trade, it will boost alliances, it will now boost what we call military cooperation. By the time China comes up, which will be in about, because their strategic plan is about 50 years from now, maybe we might not all be there, it will have total dominance. Because the first thing it did, have a total control over your population, politically. So it has a robust political system that checks on how a leader grows from one stage to another. It's not a country where you can rise up from chairman LC1 or a chairman of a ward and just declare yourself. No, I'll become an MP. You have to take stages. So there is no young MP basically in China. In China, to sit in their communist, council, whatever it is, you have to be over, I think, 50, because you must rise up from the ranks of a youth leader, lead a county, lead a sub-county, lead a commune, whatever it is, until you rise up to the highest of echelon. That is why they vet and sieve leaders. So if you control the politics and how leaders rise, then you control the narrative of what is put forward. You're thinking in the same way, in a symmetrical way. You're thinking in the same way, and they're all aligned. Same policy, industrialization, this is what is there for them.
I can see many people the points you've given to me, In the near future, we might see China as a superpower.
Yeah. What did you say?
According to the points given to me right now, I see China rising up as a superpower above the US and Russia.
I don't know. None of us is too tall. You take her. Equa have. Go out. None of us is too tall to tell what is coming in the future. It will take long, but the only thing that can break America's back will be the loss of the dominancy from the petrodollar. If America loses the energy war, then it will have lost its grip on being a superpower. It will decline. And that's how Britain lost it. It lost its control over resources, and the British pound under the British Empire completely collapsed, because remember, by that time, World War, you had British Petroleum controlling all fields in the Middle East and etc. And that's how it became bankrupt. So in one way or another, Trump is doing it without telling it to the world, that I understand the threat to us is not actually Iran, but the threat to us is actually China getting cheap oil from these countries, and these countries not willing to fall under our armpits. And let me tell you one thing. If the Ayatollah woke up in the morning and said we are going to sell all our oil to the United States, would he be attacked?
No.
It's just common sense. That's it. They would even let him own as many missiles as he wants, for as long as he would say, all our oil belongs to you, and China won't get it.
So
unfortunately, what we are seeing is that
for Israel,
I've shown you Venezuela, Iraq, Libya, Venezuela, Syria, Iran, oil. Then the Middle East that has the defensive pact, Qatar, Kuwait, Bahrain,
Saudi
Arabia, UAE, oil.
Oman.
So control their whole entire infrastructure of oil, and then China will bend to you. You'll pull the strings, because China will be forced to trade using the dollar, not the yuan. You understand?
Yeah.
And you remember when President Trump came in this time, he said, I'm going to break the back of the BRICS. He has done exactly that by creating mistrust through penetrating India. The Indian Prime Minister, you've seen what he has done. He's actually disintegrated the BRICS with no minute. He allowed a trade deal with the US to an extent now that it's the US that must tell him, fine, you can go and buy Russian oil. That is it.
So, Honorable, now what is the fate for Israel?
Yeah.
How do you see the future
of Israel? This last year, after the incursion with Iran, I said, don't be fooled. This war is not over. It's going to rehappen. After Iran, it will be Israel versus Turkey. Mark my word. It will be Israel versus Turkey after Iran. So it's within the interest of Turkey for Iran not to fall, so that the focus still remains on Iran and not Turkey.
So Turkey has to do everything to maintain this war.
Yes, because in order to encircle and spy on Iran, Israel had to go through a country called Azerbaijan.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So to create enemy neighbors around Iran. Did you see the movement by the Taliban from Afghanistan to go directly and create an alliance with India? Unprecedented. The so-called Talibans who do not believe in polytheism, shirk and what, were in India. And what happened? Immediately Pakistan attacked Afghanistan. So your Israel, you must understand it. It must make sure that for its own survival, neighbors must not be talking. Can I repeat?
Pardon?
For Israel to survive, the neighbors must not be talking. You know that funny person.
Is what?
Yes, UAE will be in conflict with Saudi before you know about Sudan and Yemen. I can tell you who is the sponsor of this. Abagabira Olugambo bonna.
Mossad.
So Israel's survival and strength depends on weakening its Arab neighbors.
So
and for sure,
in simple terms,
succeed.
Iran wants to also be a dominant figure in the Middle East.
It is. It doesn't just want to be. It is. It's the only country that has stood up, basically for Palestine, for the Palestinian cause, and stood up against Israel and USA. You just tell me any one country in the world, other than Russia, China, etc., even in Europe, that could be attacked by two powers, Israel and USA, and even survive for 5 days. Name it. Yeah. There you go. So the survival of Iran's regime will prove that the Iranians are strong, and those who thought demonstrators will come to the streets, unfortunately, they are not there.
But I just want to thank the Iranians because they are a much bit united population. Because when Trump attacked, he said he thought that these people would rise up, then they will take over the government.
It would be very difficult. And every one of us has seen this, that it would be a very difficult move. It's clear for all of us to see anyway. And I think the President Trump we've seen, we cannot say we know because none of us knows him very well than his people. We'll call for victory soon and say we've hit our targets because war means target. We've taken out the leadership, it's not as strong as it was, we've weakened the regime, we've hit their installations, we've hit nearly all their military capability. I think the only negotiation point that is remaining shall be the opening of the Strait of Hormuz, which will come up finally, and when it's done, the
war will be over.
Yes.
So the Strait of Hormuz is now the leverage that Iran has.
Yes, and the moment it opens it up, it will mean it has stopped attacking the neighbors and letting global trade flow. I think it's a growing concern for everyone, but that's the leverage. It's fighting for its survival. And it's so clear that no one can come from outside and overthrow the Iranian regime. And it was also very clear that the US admitted to saying it was looking out towards sponsoring rebels from Kurdistan, the Kurds, to come and destabilize Iran. So who knows whether the demonstrations were also sponsored and part of the Kurdish community used as spies in that, in that whole aspect. So it's finally coming out that probably you saw how someone was saying those that demonstrated in support of the regime during the recent Fridays were paid. It's absolutely nonsense because these are guys, even when they bombed, they did not move away. So these are people that are bound by conviction and religious beliefs, you can see. And this is something that other people fail to understand, that spirituality and religion, if embedded in people, they can resist anything. Anything.
So, Honorable, as I wind up, because I just want to go somewhere, how would you rate this IRGC?
As what?
In terms of the tactics, compared to other military stuff like that.
Okay, now, the IRGC, compared to other military outfits, the difference between them and others is that, one, they are very prepared. Two, they are bound by spirituality. Now, listen, to fight someone whose ultimate goal is to die, then you're a loser, not to survive. And this is what Americans should think out loud. For someone to say that when I enter this battle and I die, it's the best wish that I have, then you're not fighting a war. You're fighting someone you will not understand. The belief in martyrdom is something these guys ought to understand, that it's not something easy for someone to come to your face and tell you, assuming you are going to enter a ring and fight, but then someone tells you, when you kill me, I'll even feel happier than you living me. Then what do you expect?
The IRGC, they are not there to win.
No, they are there to win. But the best for them in their victory is actually death. You understand what I'm saying? Because the principle of martyrdom that roots up from Imam Ali after the death of the Prophet. Do you know why they chest thump? Is that we don't have fear for death. That's up to you. Yes, we might be worried about dying, they say, but they don't have fear for death. Now, you're bringing a soldier that goes to the battlefront holding pictures of their children and saying, oh my God, I don't know whether I'll come back alive, hugging the dogs and everything. That one can't win a war, and that's why the war against the Taliban was unwinnable. You can have the clock, but they'll own the time.
Yes.
Go on for as long as you want. Their land is mountainous. They can survive anywhere. They don't work under hefty pay. Have you ever had them striking over salary?
No.
So that's a force you're coming up against.
They are in simple terms, they are working for God.
Exactly. So if you understand that this guy's reasoning says, it's okay, you can bomb me, that's the only way I go to paradise. So what war are you fighting? The best thing is just go into an agreement with such guys. And it has paid off in Afghanistan.